It's a landmark. The clay pieces are amazing.
It's a beautiful work of art.
They put their heart and soul into it.
It is a jewel.
A one-of-a-kind type of globe.
It is a symbol of our planet.
You can bring your kids down here and teach them about the Earth.
It reflects who we are.
And there will be stories about it.
The fact that it's an industrial relic that was transformed into a work of art that symbolizes all of us.
How do you pull something like that off?
The site where we're standing, the edge of Riverfront Park, was really part of the Boise Cascade development, which was an active paper mill along the Willamette River and the Willamette Slough for many years in Salem. The original ball itself was an acid ball that was floated down the Willamette to Salem to be used for this industrial purpose.
The acid ball, which is a 3-story tall stainless steel vessel, and it was brought in to be used as a digester. It's a low pressure acid vapors accumulator. And that's what it was used for 25 years.
Back then we called it the acid ball. It held liquid and gas that was able to allow the paper industry to remove the acidicness of wood pulp so that it could be turned into paper. Because Boise Cascade had decided to leave that area of the riverfront. They left the acid ball there.
Eco Earth project, it goes back to when I was a city councilor from Ward 3, and the city was interested in buying the riverfront land for hopefully a riverfront park.
In 1880, the city bought the land and it formed an urban renewal area so that it could have funds to develop the land. If you fast forward to 1996,
I was on a committee that was helped kind of formulate the goals of this waterfront park back when it used to be a industrial wasteland, really. Lots of people dumped oil to keep the dust down here, and kind of it was totally polluted.
And I was mayor at that time, and I didn't really want to take on another project. Then the question came up, what are we going to do with this acid ball?
26 feet in diameter, covered with tar.
And there were some weird ideas. Somebody, it was because it was black then, somebody said put a wick on it and make it a bomb. Another suggestion was a chia pet.
My idea was to move it to West Salem and make it into a baseball for the Wallace Marine Park. That didn't fly. Moving it's evidently a big challenge.
There was a project where that got some merit. One person said paint it yellow, paint the whole thing yellow, make it the sun, and then have planets throughout the county.
What I thought it could be, and that was an Earth globe.
So I made up my mind that I was going to take the project on. I took that visual to Salem Park and Rec. They had a committee, and they were the ones to make a decision who would do the project, who they would assign the project to.
The idea about having it being the sun in a solar system, and we'd have, a marble out by Silverton.
The project that I presented lost. It lost, and I was kind of taken back. But then one of the committee members, named Dan Saucy, changed his mind. He changed his mind, and he voted for the project that we were looking at over here. Had he not done that, you would not have this. So Dan is responsible.
And then this Eco Earth kind of came up, and it was more world brotherhood rather than ecology, and it wasn't necessarily ecology at that time. I didn't appreciate it as that. I just thought it was a chance for people to get on board with their heritage. And America was a land of immigrants and people from all over the world. And so, hey, here's a chance to appreciate that.
The next thing we had to do is we had to contact the Oregon National Guard because, as you know, the pillars that it was on was very poor. So the National Guard took on the project, picked the ball up, took the old base down, put a new base there, and stepped the ball back on. That was a significant contribution to the project.
I think they used it as training to come in and remove all of the pipes and hardware that was surrounding the ball. One of the things that they did is also help build the moat around there.
First thing I did is I contacted Mary Heinzman.
My involvement in Eco Earth Project started in 1999 when Roger Gertenrich, the former mayor, approached me to look at the globe. He had talked to other people and found out that I was someone who was familiar with how to work with mosaics. And so they approached me. He asked me if I thought that the ball could be turned into earth using mosaic tiles, and I said yes. When he asked me, I could visualize it, and I understood that it was a large project because they had thought that it would take maybe a year and a half. It took us 3 years. But I also knew that it was not something for one artist, but that it would take a group of people to work on this project.
The thing I knew Mary was an established, respected artist. What I didn't know about Mary is that she's a fantastic organizer.
I had a vision for it, for the ball, just as Roger did. I told him that I thought we could involve the community to work on it.
That's when she had a brilliant idea of turning this old steel ball into a globe with ceramic icons.
Once he told me that he liked my idea, then from there, we just kind of jump into it. We are very fortunate at the Riverfront Park that the carousel was done by the community. And so A.C. Gilbert was done by community with all the art projects that they had down there. All the carousel horses were done by local artists. And some of those artists also worked on the Eco Earth Globe. They looked at the structure, and with the kind of the core acceptance over it, they decided to leave it on there because it had a little bit of asbestos in it. And so they felt that they could put a sealer over it, which is a membrane that they glued to it. And then what they did is they mounted kind of like a honeycomb type of metal fabric that laid over it that was mounted to the ball so that they could float the plaster mortar that they use to make a foundation to put the tiles on.
Jules Youngren was another person that joined the team, and as you know, Jules has passed, but he had his heart and soul in this project. He knew the geography, and he knew every little bit of it.
Our geographer, who had been working for 18 months on maps for the globe, he had to do a lot of calculations, figure out how this was going to lay on there, and that is what he figured out where the longitude and latitude lines would be so that those grooves would be in there, not only for marking, but because the globe actually kind of breathes and kind of expands with the cold, and that the rubber compound that is in there would allow for the contraction and the expansion of the globe, which is just subtle, but it also helps us to define a marking that we are all familiar that globes have. One of the things that we did after Jewel had created all of his maps is to lay them down onto the globe and do tracings. Jewel and Richard Moritz and Peterson, and I also got up there and helped do the tracing so we knew where all the continents were. We were able then to begin at the North Pole, work our way down, and at the same time we would work on the icons from the north, being up there, working our way down the globe and the panels, so I could reach out to different artists and tell them that we were going to be working on these panels.
The fish that I chose here is the California flying fish, and I did a sailfish, one called the look down, Atlantic sturgeon, starry flounder, and it's going to be good to see them get finished and be up there on the acid ball. It's a big project.
Did the reptile dinosaurs with Tyrannosaurus rex and Brontosaurus, as well as other people did some of the foundation supports for the globe of what we decided to do some prehistoric type icons for the lower part that held the globe up.
And so one of the things I felt really strong about was that high school kids could participate in this. I reached out to all of the pottery teachers, and we ended up with 145 students who helped with creating different icons. I gave a lot of freedom to those teachers to work with their students on different parts of the globe. They were delighted to do that. I provided them with clay, breaking down different areas that they could work on, and so all of the students had to do some type of research on the geography and on what would represent something that we would recognize for that area on the globe. And then I did the same thing with the local artists. I asked them what was it that they could offer in the way of their knowledge. For example, Carol Dury, who did Ayers Rock in Australia. She had been down there and she understood what birds were part of that area. It was something that the artists kind of ended up having a passion to research areas. The same thing with Deb DeWitt, who did Victoria Falls. Deb DeWitt also created the African one that had all these animals.
And asked me if I'd be interested in doing a mosaic mural. Being the animal lover that I am, I chose Africa as my favorite animals, and I just couldn't wait to get started on them. And I chose a mosaic pattern. This icon took roughly a couple of months to do. What I like to do is just apply a stain and then wipe off so that the stain is just recessed in the textured areas. Some animals, of course, needed some colors, but I didn't want a whole lot of bright, vibrant colors on this piece. I wanted it savanna looking.
Mary Heinzman wanted a hippo, so I did a hippo for her. An ibex for the Himalayas, the Umpqua Lighthouse, wheat. I did a bushel of wheat for Afghanistan. During the time there was the wars there, I wasn't sure what to put there. So I looked back at the history of Afghanistan and I saw that they used to produce a lot of wheat from there. And so I decided to go with something neutral and just make a bushel of wheat for Afghanistan.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into creating an icon. The students and the artists do the research on what they want to do, taking the clay and then transforming it into an image. And then they return it to me at Salem Academy, where I would cut it into sections. Because the globe is round, we had to have the tiles cut in a certain size. And then what we did was we fired it, and then the artists and our painters had to paint it. And then we documented the process as we went along, so that we do have information on each tile that is on there, what it looked like in clay, who made it, and also who painted it.
I found that once I rolled the slab out and I did the impression of what the mask was going to look like, and then I painted it. And so the initial firing, it had color. And then I just came back and I added a black stain, and the stain brought out a lot of the features.
Mary needed some more pieces for South America, and so she decided that if I did Machu Picchu and then found a relic that would be discovered at Machu Picchu, then we'd place them side by side in the kind of Peru Andes area. There's nothing like the earth ball in Oregon or anywhere that I've heard of. And I'm sort of hoping it can be a focus for maybe ecology, or if people are involved in ecology, they can meet at the earth ball and use it as kind of a starting point. Years from now, people will wonder who worked on the earth ball and who did these things, and there will be stories about it. I think it's something to be proud of, to be part of it.
We create a map of each panel or each icon so that the tile setters can put them on. And we put out a request for people who would volunteer to cut all the tiles that were going on the globe. We had a nice tent with about 4 tables that had the different panels laid out on it, where the icons would be laid out. The question is, how do you get these all on the globe then? At that time, they still were making contact paper that you could see through. The clear contact paper allowed us to lay that down on top of the finished tiles. They would get adhered to it, and then we would be able to cut that into sections. We would lay them out according to the numbering system that we had. It was sectional panels that we could easily be able to pick up and put it on the globe. And the tile setters would then lay the tiles.
The tile setters, Dave Crowell and his group, put 86,000 tile on that thing. And they were even told that they should take union wages. The union was pushing them, and they said, we are not doing this for money. We want to do this because it comes from our contribution to the community.
How many tiles did it take to cover the ball?
Well, you'll be happy to know I counted every one of them. And there are 86,155 tiles and 300 icons covering that stainless steel sphere.
When we finished it, there was a sealer that was put on it. There's a graffiti barrier that a lot of people will put on their buildings or that allow for graffiti to be washed off. So one thing, when you talk about graffiti or, damage to the globe, the ball had to have scaffolding and plastic over it for about 3 years. And we did worry about that as we were working on it, that we might get some damage down there. We didn't. I think because it was a community project and it was publicized so well, and the high schools were all participating, and the Statesman Journal was good at giving us updates of our progress, that we had very little damage of anybody coming into that area that we were working. We only had one time where somebody came in and tipped all of our tables over in the tent and tipped over the outhouse. The community was excited at what we were doing down there at the Riverfront Park. I think when you have that type of project going on, just as A.C. Gilbert and the Carousel, people respect that.
It was exciting to see it come together.
The clay pieces are amazing to illustrate different places in the world. And so it's just an enjoyable icon in Salem, really.
The fact that it's an industrial relic that was transformed into a work of art that symbolizes all of us. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter, if you're an animal, you're a fish, you're a person, there's room for you on this globe. All of the people in Salem are represented here. Whether you came from Asia, whether you came from Africa, whether you're a refugee, whether you're a lover of wildlife.
I would like people to know that there was a lot of heart put into this project, a lot of time and energy and emotions, heartfelt emotions, that we were making something that the community could enjoy, and to give us something unique that we could say, yeah, we live in Salem, Oregon, the place with the eco-earth globe that no one else has.
And plus, the name of Salem means peace. So this is all about everybody getting together and living on the same planet, Earth. So I just think it's a pretty amazing testament to what can happen in our city.
We're going to put a time capsule in the ball soon.
What's going to be in it?
Oh, lots of things. Newspaper clippings and photos of the process and the people putting together the ball and a video and just lots of things.
And when are they going to open this time capsule?
In 50 years.
50 years? I'll be an old man then.
The deal was to the city, the deal I presented to the city was that we would do the project, but once we were done and cut the ribbon, they would own it and take care of it thereafter.
Mayor Taylor signed documents and Roger signed it, turning it over to the city because it was our piece to be a gift to the city.
The ball out belongs to you.
And our expectations were that they would take care of it.
It will be there for 100 years or more.
The effort spanned about 4 years. It was gifted to the city in 2003. It took them that long to encase the asbestos layer protectively, to put a cement coating over that layer, to then map the globe. It's geographically accurate. It was a true community effort. That's the main thing I like about it. And I like too the effort that they took to represent everyone on that globe.
The project's value ended up just under $2 million.
Kids, that's a present for you. And the idea behind it is that you can come down here with your moms and dads, and you can walk around the ball and ask questions, and you can learn about the Earth.
Unfortunately, the globe has seen better days.
I have a hard time just looking at it now, and I see all those tile off.
With the climate change, so extreme heat, and some of the extreme cold temperatures that we've had recently, plus this is an exterior work of public art, that some of the tiles have literally popped off the globe.
The deal was that our team would do the project, but afterwards we would turn it over to the city, and the city would be responsible for its care and maintenance. And the city had agreed to that from the start.
What was the plan for taking care of it?
I think it would be to seal it and to maintain it.
Well, the Salem Public Art Commission manages the city's public art collection. A lot of it dates from 1972 when the City Hall and the Civic Center were both developed. There are over 100 objects in that, probably close to 200. But the Echo Earth Globe is the largest work of art and certainly the one with the most artists connected to it.
I'm bothered by the fact that the globe is in bad repair.
It's starting to look shabby.
And that globe is not been respected the way it should be.
I think after the dedication and that, being that it was in the park, I don't know that it was really handed over to any part of the city government to kind of really look after it as we had expected.
And it was really not until I was appointed to the Salem Public Art Commission that I became involved in knowing more about the condition of the globe and then looking at what could be done about it.
Pieces have fallen off, pieces have broken.
It has moss growing on the top.
You can see even below the globe on the concrete base, there's just debris that hasn't even been swept up.
Where some of the grout maybe disappeared, there's rainwater that got in or seeped through the grout after it lost its sealant and penetrated that mortar base.
When you consider that we had temperatures of 117 degrees, maybe 2 summers ago, we had that deep freeze, we had that big ice storm.
But it's metal, and during the summer it expands, and during the winter it contracts.
So, I don't think that probably when this ball was unveiled, I'm not sure that people realized that climate change was going to accelerate at the rate that it has.
I was very concerned when they were making the bridge, and this is my personal opinion, that some of the pounding of the pylons into the ground also did a lot of shaking of the ground, and I don't think it was very kind to the ball.
So you can see walking by that the areas that have been most stressed, the ones facing west and south, the tiles have literally popped off.
It hasn't really been cared for. When they were building the bridge next to it, access wasn't allowed. And so that took a while for them to build that. And so there was no way to really go down there to be able to look at it and see what was going on because we just didn't have access.
I really do think it was unanticipated. You know, I think that engineers worked on this, the Army Corps of Engineers worked on this, professional tile setters volunteered their time to work on this.
None of us has that vision to see what something's going to be like down the road or what is going to happen to it. We felt that this was going to be around for generations, that it would be maintained and cared for. So I think we have weather that has affected the ball. We have the vibration of the ground that I think caused some of the tiles become loose and separate.
I think there's been a lot of deferred maintenance, and that has contributed to things falling off and breaking maybe a little bit more aggressively than they might have if the globe had been cleaned properly and gently before now.
It should be taken care of. We have more pride in that. There'd be cities in Paris that would like to have this thing, and New York City and Chicago.
When you talk about Salem, it's on all of the marketing. This park was supposed to be the gate, the front door to the city.
You know, as all of us realize as we walk here, this is the city's flagship park. It is beautifully developed. It's beautifully landscaped. It's connected by the Peter Courtney Bridge to the wilder and also beautiful Minto Brown Island Park. It connects to the bridge that goes over to West Salem. Soon there will be a new trail coming from Mirror Pond and the Civic Center over to Riverfront Park. And you can just see that this ball is at the nexus of so many of those connections.
It's just, when you take a picture of one, you get them all. And to have this looking rather ragged is not the image that we would hope to share with the world.
This is a major asset to the world of art and to our community.
I also suggested to the city that the city declare the Echo Earth Globe a landmark. And so I prepared some of that material, which went to the Landmarks Commission and ultimately to the City Council. So this globe is now officially a landmark, which is an important physical structure within city limits.
And it's been really interesting trying to repair the thing.
It's been very sad to see that some of the icons have fallen off, hit the ground, and then broken. So Mary Heinzman, who was one of the project coordinator back in the original development of this project, is working with a cohort of artists to try to replicate those icon tiles.
I approached some of the artists and I said, your piece fell off, we're missing some of those pieces and they can't be mended, and would you like to recreate your piece? And they said yes. And so I've been working with some of the artists and some of the high school students to recreate. For whoever does the restoration, we do have the documentation for them that should make it easy.
Public Art Commission advocated for an assessment by professional art conservators, people who deal with things on this architectural scale. The conservation reports that we've had have suggested two things. One, reapplying the mortar that holds the tiles on, and probably having that professionally done as opposed to a community effort. Because it's been acknowledged that I guess this mortar has a certain time frame where it can be effective at setting up. And if you're too soon and you're too late, the mortar is not as effective. So really paying attention to that.
The tiles that did come off has mastic on the back that did not separate from the tiles. The separation was between the mortar and the base mortar.
Both of those conservator reports have also said there needs to be an agreed upon maintenance plan. So definitely not allowing the equivalent of moss, algae, scum, stuff like that, just not letting those living organisms latch and then grow. We have several suggestions for remediation and budgets that go along with them. I mean, the budget was about, I would say, it started out at less than $500,000.
This ball is part of the park, and it's always going to reside in the park. And the Park Foundation helps with all of the parks. And so they do a lot of fundraising. And so I had approached them to look at trying to raise funds and take that project on.
The Salem Parks Foundation volunteered to raise $300,000.
Raised $300,000, this Parks Foundation, and the city was going to pay another $100,000 to have it installed.
We've met our agreement in fundraising for Eco Earth, and unfortunately the estimate on improvements and the cost has risen a lot.
At the time, when we first started the raising money for restoring the Eco Earth thing, the bill was going to be $400,000. Well, then that was 6 years ago, and now there are new rules and there's asbestos in there, and so that has to be, it can't be encapsulated anymore. It has to be removed, and so that adds another $1 million. So it's 1.4 million. So, oh my goodness, that's way beyond a bunch of volunteer, old volunteers.
This is the capital of Oregon. The state should be wanting to honor a commitment to this project as well.
There isn't agreement yet about what is the right route. But I do think that letting this go would be a tragedy. And when you think about how the demographics of Salem have changed over the years, there's all of the people in Salem are represented here. Even when we had the city's collection appraised, this work was deemed so unique that it couldn't be, a value could not be placed on it, because its value is just kind of infinite.
It's a one-of-a-kind type of globe that is educational, and it's a testament to all of our cultures and our differences. And I think that it needs to be restored because it reflects who we are as a world, that we have a lot of diversity, and we should celebrate that diversity.
I and many other people feel that the time is now to really address this.
It's really become a vital part of Salem's recreational opportunities.
So when you think about people coming to our capital city, they can explore this beautiful. We have a brutalist city hall, famous architecture term. They can walk over here. They can see this Eco Earth globe. Maybe they can go to a performance. They can look at the Willamette Slough. They could run across, bike across, take their kids across, get into the wildness of Minto Brown.
And then the Eco Earth, I think it's great because it's done by kids, the community. And I've seen the new tiles that they've created in school. So it's wonderful. I hope they do refurbish it and make it a sight to see here in Salem.
It's the most unique feature of the park.
The fact that it's here next to that bridge now and it's visible from quite a distance, I think that's fascinating.
The whole representation of our Earth with the people and the animals. The kids love it. They just rush up to see it. It's a beautiful work of art. Every time I look at it, I just am amazed all over again, and it makes me feel good.
It adds something that nothing else can touch.
So hopefully it'll be there another 25, 30, 40 years.
Oh, forever.
Or forever, long after I'm gone.
Well, there's not another thing like it in the world that I know of. It's a one-of-a-kind piece, and I think it's very important that we keep it maintained after it is restored, just because it is such a unique piece.
There's just so many students, so many artists that put beautiful icons on there.
There are so many people that dedicated so much to this, and their energy and their vision help propel it to keep going the way it is and how beautiful it is.
This whole end of the park would need to be redesigned if this globe were to leave, and that would probably cost a lot more than $1.5 million.
I'm advocating that somebody in Salem, because I'm 92 years old now and I'm living in Portland, but somebody here should start a petition and to push the city council to come up and get some money to fund this, to restore it to its full glory. Work with the state and try to get a grant.
Well, I think it has to be something that's assumed by a larger body, maybe lobby the city councilors.
Other cities have maintained and cared for their artwork. The carousel, they're able to maintain and take care of the carousel horses. They bring them back and they work on them. The globe needs to be, the same thing needs to happen, where the community steps up to and the city steps up to maintaining it.
It's called pride of ownership, something that businessmen understand, and the business community ought to step forward as well. They've invested a lot in this as well. It sits right across the street from their beloved convention center as well. So what I would say is respect the globe, take care of it, fund it, do something.
In the future, once it's recreated or, repaired, I think there has to be either yearly or bi-yearly maintenance done on it, just to make sure that things are not coming off or allowing the moss or the grass wanting to try to grow in it. Clean it in such a way that doesn't damage it. Sometimes, it's a matter of just light wash. We live in an environment, we have moss whether we like it or not, and so that north side really likes moss on the globe. And so I think just as we protect our roofs from moss, we have to do that with the globe also.
The City of Salem owns this giant community art project. It's in the public art collection. It has been designated a landmark. So they're really in charge of, I would say, allocating resources to preserve it and to rebuild it if it needs to be rebuilt, which it definitely needs conservation, professional conservation.
The Parks Foundation moved the money into a big banknote, so it's sitting there waiting.
And now they have said to the city, okay, when are you stepping forward? So I think a lot of us are looking forward to that answer.
So I would hope that they would restore it and maintain it for many, 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 many years so that my great-grandchildren can come and see it, and other artists' children, and everybody.
It's now maybe $1.4 million. So it's a different conversation in terms of money to be raised and money that the city might, put on the table.
And I do know that we have people in the community that will step up. The total cost was about $1 million. We figure it was around a little bit over $1 million. So a lot of all that was donations. But, we had certain board members, and especially Roger, reached out to the community and to different organizations that donated money to help fund this. And so I do have a list of some of those.
It would be the presidents of 4 neighborhood associations and the chairs of 4 business associations. And we called Team Riverfront. They came together. They raised over $1 million. for this park. They can do it again.
We can get that type of involvement again where the community can step up. It's a matter of, I think, asking people to help, and I think that people will come step forward and help.
We're asking for the city, maybe other nonprofits, to join us and support the rehabilitation of this iconic piece of art in City of Salem.
There are many ways that people in Salem can support the Echo Earth project.
That this project needs help, and people can't just sit around and talk about it. They've got to actually do something, and it starts with pushing the city council and the state of Oregon to act.
There's many ways to volunteer, whether it would maybe donations or helping to bring awareness.
You can continue to make a financial contribution to the Salem Parks Foundation.
Contacting others to help donate.
If you do make a gift to the Salem Parks Foundation, you can match that gift with a gift to the Oregon Cultural Trust, which is a statewide cultural funding mechanism that qualifies you for a tax credit from the state of Oregon. You can also follow the Salem Parks Foundation on Facebook and Instagram for updates and for the connection to their website.
Through word of mouth.
You can take a selfie in front of the globe. Lots of people do. I rarely come down here where I don't see family groups taking pictures. In fact, while we've been talking, people have been on the other side taking pictures. Come down here and take a picture of you and your family or your visitors from out of town. Maybe you're standing in front of a continent where your ancestors came from or where your family came from, and post your own post on social media.
You know, sharing this video.
You can come to a meeting of the Salem Public Art Commission. Those meetings are the second Wednesday of every month. You could provide public comment by sending an email or coming in person to say that, you know, I think this is important.
A lot of heart and soul went into this project, and it would be nice if we could get this restored and maintained. Shouldn't take too much maintenance after it's restored.
I think the globe is a testament to the community and our oneness as people, that, you know, as diverse as we are, this is our world. This is who we are.
I can see the journey is going to continue on for a little bit till we get this all resolved.
Well, there is a time capsule inside of it, and someday when they open it up, I think they'll be able to be proud of the fact that that day this globe will be fully restored.